Hello, my loves. Okay, now I think we are live. I started this live and it didn't work, and let's hope that you hear me now. I started this live and it did not work before. I thought that it did. Got like 12 minutes into the live, so we are back. We are here. Now it is working. If you are here hopping on live, say hello. Let me know in the comments that you're here. Let me know how your day's going. What's one thing that you are grateful for today? One thing that happened that went really well. If you're hopping on to catch the replay, please comment hashtag replay so I can come back and hang out with you. Engaging with you here is one of my absolute favorite things to do. So if you are hopping on for the first time, you're not so sure about what it is like to comment in this group, just say hey, say that you're here. I will come and chat with you. This is what this space is about, to support each other, to be in this learning environment, to grow and develop on our own personal journeys. So now that this is working, I'm going to dive back into hopefully the same sort of speech. I was like really on a roll about this topic for today's Align and Allow episode. So again, hopefully I like jump back into those vibes and we just let it flow one more time. But today's Align and Allow episode is how to navigate work when you're just not feeling it, okay? And I think this is a really, really important episode to be doing because it's not really something that we talk about a whole lot in life. It's a little bit of this taboo topic where we want to always be showing up as our best selves. Of course we do. We want to feel good. We want to reach that next level goal. But there are just days or seasons or phases in our lives when we're just not feeling it. We're not feeling that same amount of energy. We're not feeling that same motivation. Maybe you're going through something that feels really hard right now. Maybe you've gone through something that's felt really hard. Again, it could be a full season where you're like, when is this going to end? It could be, a not so positive week or a bad day. And it's really important, I believe, for us to have this conversation where we talk about how to navigate through that, how to adjust the way that you're working so that you can really honor yourself in what you need and what your body is asking you for. When we're going through hard things and we have a physical or emotional response or both to what is happening, those things affect our mental health. Those things affect how we're able to show up. And we really, really, really want to be in a space with a strategy to adjust the way that we are showing up in, work and life and the commitments that we've made to ourselves or other people, so that we're really taking care of us, of our mental health, of our emotional health, of our physical health, okay? And again, it's really easy in the world that we live in today with social media to see everyone's perfect version of life as though they're doing really well. And it could be that they're doing really well. Now social media has also become this beautiful marketing platform, which of course I'm super grateful for. But I really want us to use this training today, this episode today, to peel back the curtains and talk about this uncomfortable topic of when we're not feeling good, when we're not feeling motivated, when we're feeling like we're going through a tough time, and take away the taboo of what that means, that it's okay to feel this way. And we're going to be talking about 3 things, as we always do in these lives. The first on this topic is the reframe and the mindset shift to take on when things are feeling hard or when things aren't moving forward the way that you want them to, and you're like really sitting in this frustration station, or when you are recognizing that you're coming to hit that point on your journey, okay? So we're going to do the mindset shift around that. We're going to talk about the importance of your turning point threshold in order to really fully come out of this phase. This is one of those things where we don't want to feel the feelings. We don't want to have to deal with this shit, right? Because this phase is not something that's necessarily fun. We want to feel good. We want to feel lit up and in this place of joy in life. But when we're not, we also don't want to force it. We don't want to pretend. And again, this is the same conversation of forcing work or forcing ourselves to get more done, to be more productive. As soon as we're coming from a place of forcing, things are not going to flow the way that we want them to or to our greatest benefit. So we're going to be talking about this concept of the turning point. And then we're going to be talking about, for point 3, reconnecting back to your juice. So this is something that I got from one of my mentors, but I'm going to be sharing it with you here today. And I absolutely love what juice stands for and using that as your aligned action for this week moving forward. Okay, so let's dive into point number 1. And this is the mindset shift and reframe to take on when you are in the thick of things, when you're at this frustration station, or you're really in this hard season, you're moving through this high intensity phase. And how do we navigate that? How do we shift the way that we're showing up? And what I want to share with you here might be a little bit of an alternative view to how we generally want to be in this situation, or what maybe other people in this industry have said about it. But what I really want to encourage you to do is to sit in the discomfort and notice if there's things that you're trying to avoid. We don't tend to like to sit in the discomfort, of course not, because it sucks. It's uncomfortable. It's not a fun, cute butterflies and rainbowy place to be, right? And so what we tend to do is get busy. We put more things on our to-do list, or we plan more things with friends so that we're constantly keeping our minds activated and away from this feeling that we might be feeling. And then we'll have, the mini little breakdowns, or what happens is we're avoiding so much, or we're recognizing, okay, I'm not doing so well right now, but we're not really giving ourselves the space to be in it, that our bodies literally force us to do that. Right? So that could be like physically getting sick. The body's like, hey girl, you need to slow the F down. You need to sit with this. You need to be in these emotions right now. Or you've just overexerted us so much that we can't move forward anymore, and you've been ignoring the warning signs. And this can also show up in burnout. If you've ever really experienced like an intense burnout situation, maybe a panic attack that's led to burnout, or this feeling of just overly exhausted all the time, these are all signs from your physical body telling you that it's time to slow down and sit with some things. What are the things that are coming up that your body, that your emotional state, that your subconscious mind is asking you to sit with and look at, okay? The second thing I want to say here is this concept of pressure of the positive, this positive pressure. This is an industry of personal development, of personal growth, of business growth, of up-leveling. And when it comes to these places, what we tend to do, and this is, we love this, is have tools and teach tools that allow us to shift through things, to move through things, to shift into the positive way of seeing things. That's what mindset shifts and reframes, literally, in terms of what we're talking about right now, are about. The thing is as much as we love all those things, and it's so crucial to have the tools to move through whatever is coming up, to shift back into that positive mindset, to move yourself forward, we don't want to put pressure, again, as we talked about before, on needing to feel better immediately, okay? It's this natural response when we feel like crap to want to make things better, 1000%. But sometimes we need to sit in it, and we can literally think about like being sick as an example of this. Like when you're sick, of course you want to feel better. But there's also this phase where okay, I just need to go to bed right now, and I need to just spend the next day or two laying in bed, watching movies, sleeping, getting nurtured. Maybe you have a partner or family member who brings you soup and treats, and really feel like you can be taken care of, right? We need that space first to heal before we can actually start to feel better, right? And that's kind of this idea with the pressure of the positive. We don't want to put this pressure on ourselves to have to feel better immediately. We really want, and this is what I want to encourage you to do, to be in this space where it's okay to not feel okay. And yeah, it can be really uncomfortable to be in this space and to lean into this space. But I really, really, really want to encourage you to do that when these things come up, because it's going to allow you to move through it a lot faster. And we'll talk about this in point 2, and actually like move through all of it, as opposed to kind of being like, oh yeah, I'm kind of feeling this. And that's kind of when you get out of bed too soon when you're sick, and then you drag on the cold or the sniffly nose or the sore throat for like another week because you didn't just let yourself ride it out fully, right? Let me know if you're feeling me. The mindset shift that I give myself here, and I'm going to give this to you right now, is when I'm feeling it, when I'm in the thick of things, and when, this isn't really a physical sickness concept, that was just the metaphor, but when I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling good right now, nothing's working, I feel irritated, I feel frustrated, and it's okay for those things to come up, and it's really normal actually for them to come up, because our brain is our survival mode. It wants to pick out the things that aren't going well. And so if you didn't have those thoughts, there would probably be something in your brain where it's like, okay, where's the survival mode? Okay. So it's super, super normal for you to have those thoughts first and foremost. And the mindset shift that I give myself here is I have all the tools to shift out of this feeling that I'm feeling right now. I have the mindset tools, I have the energy management tools. I know what I should do. I know the actions I need to take, but I don't want to do them right now. I want to allow myself to just be in this space. I want to just sit in this space and let that be okay. And that's what I want to give you here for point number one. If you don't know what the tools are to move yourself out of the emotional state that you're in, the burnout state that you're in, the feeling of frustration of not moving forward fast enough, of perfectionism, of whatever it is, exhaustion, draining feelings, all those things. If you don't feel like you have the tools to move yourself through those, I really, really, really encourage you to find someone who can support you in giving you those tools. If you want to hop on a call with me, you and I can look at what that might look like in your life, what tools you might want to be incorporating or might be needing to move through whatever it is that you're feeling stuck in or that you're going through right now. But knowing that you have the tools then to still let it be okay to be in that phase, to be in that emotional state, okay? Moving on to point number two. I like to keep these short and sweet, and we're at 10 minutes, so we're gonna move it along. Point number two is the importance of hitting your turning point or so-called threshold in order to fully come out of this phase feeling better. Like actually feeling like you moved through it fully, not just like I said before, doing that half, okay, I kind of slept for a day while I was feeling under the weather and now I'm back, but like I'm carrying the sniffles with me for like the next month. Like we don't want that. We want to finish her off and then be done with it and move on feeling fully recovered, okay? So again, whether you are like really going through a tough season right now, which, hello, again, let's normalize going through tough seasons. That's what this live is all about, this training today. Let's normalize that we all go through things and it doesn't matter what level we're at. Let's talk about it. Let's make it a thing that we discuss together so that we can support each other as we move through it and hold space. This is not about calling people out. This is not about telling people what they need to do or, saying that they're doing anything wrong. This is simply about holding space so that we know that we're not alone, because going through a tough season can feel super fucking isolating, right? So let's normalize that first and foremost. Or if you're feeling like you're just leaning into rest, this is another really interesting part of this conversation. Like when you start to lean into rest and you're like, oh, my body is really enjoying this. And you're like, oh, I thought that would be enough rest. Like I thought that taking a week off would be good. But like your body is still asking for more. Like really leaning into what your body needs so that when you come back out, you actually do feel more energized. And I'll talk more about that in a minute because I had a really interesting conversation about this with a client yesterday. So the metaphor here of like hitting your threshold that I want to give you to like really shift this for you is when you're like in the depths of things, right? You're going through the tough season, you're really slowing down because your body's like, hey, we need rest. Like we are nearing burnout or in burnout or just feeling so exhausted. Like give it to me. When you're in the depths of this season or this phase, imagine yourself like jumping into the deep end of the ocean and it wasn't really a choice for you to jump, right? Like life threw something at you and maybe it's something in your relationship or in your business or in your family environment and you're like, this is really heavy right now. And then it's kind of creating this physical strain or this emotional strain or this mental strain. Like you just can't show up the way that you're used to showing up, right? You need this rest, you need this space. Or you have just chosen to say, I really need this deep-seated rest right now. And you've leaned into it now. And you're like, oh my God, I need more, I need more, I need more. And so imagine you're in like the depths of the ocean and you're just like sinking to the bottom. And you're like, this is you sitting in it. This is you leaning into this comfort. This is you being in the uncomfortable feelings of feeling it all and letting it be okay. And the idea is that you want to get all the way down to the ground, all the way down to the floor of the ocean. And that's where you hit that threshold point so that you can like push back off from that floor of the ocean and move yourself back up. And that's when you start doing the work again. That's when you start incorporating the tools that you have to get back to the surface, right? And the idea behind this is if we only go down halfway and we're like, okay, I'm ready, like this sucks, like I can't breathe anymore, and like, okay, that's like a little bit of an aggressive conversation or metaphor to draw there. You should be able to breathe the whole time. We are incorporating things throughout this process of going to the bottom of like, okay, I'm here with myself. I'm breathing through this. I'm present in these emotions. And again, there are tools for sitting in the discomfort, and we can definitely talk about those as well. But that when you press back off, you are then doing the tools for moving yourself out of this space. So it's like, okay, now I'm doing the mindset work to shift things. Now I'm doing the mindset work to take action on things. Now I'm feeling energized again so I can move forward. Let me know if that difference makes sense, because it's really, really crucial. This is not about like going downwards in a spiral of things are getting worse and worse and worse. This is just about being in it and having the right tools to be present in it. Getting down to this bottom point of the ocean floor is that place of, okay, now I've sat in it long enough. I'm ready to shift. Now I've been resting long enough. My body's now letting me know, okay, now we can start moving forward. Like, it's that turning point when you're sick and you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, I do feel better. Like, I'm starting to feel better. I'm not 100% yet, but I can tell that we're starting to move forward. Let me know if that resonates with you, if that feels true to you, and if that makes sense. So really, this whole point for number 2 is recognizing that we want to give ourselves time to get to this threshold, to get to this turning point, and letting that be okay. Letting it be okay to give yourself that time, and then letting that shift happen. If we only go halfway down, we're only going to feel half of those results, right? Then we come back up to the surface and we're like, ooh, there's still things coming up here, or I'm still carrying that cold around with me, right? Okay. Point number 3 is reconnecting back to the juice. And this is going to be your aligned action. And this is what I said. I was like, don't, like, trust me, the juice is not what you think it is. This is something new and fun and exciting and yummy and juicy. But this is also the aligned action for moving forward. And this is one of those tools that you can use while you're coming down to that threshold point, but also to use once you've hit that threshold point and are moving back up, okay? So this is the tool that I'm going to give you. It's the juice. And the juice is what makes us us. The juice that you have in your life is different than the juice in my life. And my juice is what lights me up. What is it that I love to do? What sets my soul on fire? What really gives me that feeling of like satisfaction at the end of the day, right? And the juice also stands for joy, joyful union with my inner child's enthusiasm. Okay, that's like literally what juice stands for. So thinking about like what lights us up, it's your union with your inner child, that enthusiasm, that joyfulness, that feeling of like zestiness for life. Okay, it's that thing that like makes you feel alive, that part of you that's magnetic, that makes you jump out of bed and gets you excited. Like, what is that for you? And really what I want to encourage you to do here is think about it in very small incremental ways. So if part of your juice is literally your career and what you do, what's like an aspect of your career that you love? Not the fact that you're a CEO, or not the fact that you're a coach, or not the fact that you're a graphic designer, or not the fact that you work in healthcare. Like, what is the piece of that that is connected to your inner child? Is it connecting with people? Is it teaching? Is it playing dress up and being able to perform in all these different roles? Like, what is the connective piece that brings you back to your inner child? And you can literally start to bring that into your life more. Play dress up, do the fun things, pretend to teach to a crowd or teach to your family, or like, what are those fun aspects? Connect with a new person, connect with an old friend. And if it doesn't connect to your work, again, it doesn't have to. It can also connect to your work, but you choose to go in a different direction. What's another thing that gave you that juice as a child? What's another thing that gives you that juice now? Is it being creative, painting, being in nature, feeling connected to something bigger? Really take the time to consider what that juice is for you. And the idea is asking yourself, okay, with this enthusiasm, this feeling of excitement and joyfulness, how do I cultivate more experiences like that now? And that is your aligned action for this week's episode of Align and Allow. How do I cultivate more experiences that connect me to that juice, that zestiness for life, that joyful union with my inner child's enthusiasm, okay? And again, this is literally something that you can start to do as you go down to that threshold. And if you are on your way down to that threshold point right now, I encourage you to really do it in very, very, very small ways. Do it in that little painting that you do in the evening before you go to bed, or by taking a bath, or by having a FaceTime call with a friend for 20 minutes, like baking your favorite cookies. What are the small ways in which you can do that? We really, really, really want to make sure that we're incorporating this without overexerting ourselves more, okay? And if you're coming back up, again, saying the same thing, we want to make sure that we're coming up and feeling really good and energized and not adding more and more and more things onto our plate, but allowing this to be one of those things that kind of like a balloon pulls us back up to the surface, okay? While you are in the process of leaning into it and being in it, again, if you want support with that, please reach out. I can drop a link below, or I will drop a link below in the chat area so that you can book in a call with me if you want to chat more about that. Excuse me, I have a few free calls coming up in the next couple of weeks because I have 2 spots at my current rate, which is my 4-month coaching container. Those are the last 2 spots, and then the rate and prices go up. The coaching container changes. So if you want to chat about these tools in general, this is what these free complimentary coaching calls are all about. If you want to talk about what coaching together could look like, what working with me looks like, the transformation that you're wanting to bring into your life, whether that's more life, rest, work-life balance, bringing in that rhythm of rest, bringing in your streamlined to-do list so that you're not doing all the things, that you're no longer sitting in this place of burnout, no longer feeling like, God, every day of my life feels like I'm navigating this, tough season or this overwhelming to-do list. Those are all things that we can talk about on this call. These are absolutely zero pressure. That is not the way that I like to run my business or do my coaching. It's really a chance for you to get some insight on what the tools are that maybe you want to be incorporating, and then what might it look like for us to coach together. That's it. And you always walk away with your next step strategy, which is something that I love to give my beautiful humans who are action takers and reach out to, take action on these calls. But your aligned action in general for this week is to really reconnect back to that juice and cultivate more of those experiences. So I would absolutely love to hear what those experiences are for you. If you do this, if you're planning on doing this, drop it in the chat below so that I can see and celebrate with you, and also that we can all get ideas together. We're all such creative, beautiful beings, and we all have these beautiful ways of expressing this inner juice, this inner child joyfulness and enthusiasm. So getting inspired by each other is the whole point of it as well. I'll drop mine in the comments as well below at the end of this live. So that was Align and Allow series episode number 5. Thank you so much for hopping on and joining me. If you have any wishes in terms of topics that you want me to cover in these training series, drop them in the chat. Let's talk about it. I'm sure that there's a million other people who want to hear the same thing. Okay, there's not a million in this group. We've got 300, but 300 other people who most likely want to have the same information that you're asking for. So drop it in the chat. I love you all so much. Thank you for showing up for me, for yourselves, for this life, and I will talk to you soon.